Here we go. We have a rapid game. We found somebody in the pool. I get to practice for my upcoming event. There's never GM seeking rapid. This is good. Alrighty. And we gotta play bad openings because I think this guy was seeking me because I'm playing against some colleagues in the upcoming event. They're gathering intel. They want to use this sparring and get some intel. Because there's 2 ladies from China in the upcoming Magnus event I'm competing in. We'll bring out our Grunfeld. We must throw them off the scent, that's right. We'll do some chill rapid chess. Sit back, relax, and enjoy. This is the Fianchetto line. Very rare to see somebody, a GM seeking rapid. So I'm casting first. One of the next choices is if I want to take here or not. Both are acceptable. It's like the Catalan. White counts, usually banks on winning the pawn back. So, gotta think about that. But this is more dynamic. C6 is more solid. Okay, Tom keeps requesting a song by Dan D. It's better be worth it. E5. So for example, I'm thinking about something like knight fd7. And after knight takes c4, like knight b6. I have to watch out, this pawn is loose in some variations. I like this knight more than the other knight because it opens up this bishop. Let's try knight fd7, and after knight takes c4, I'm going to transfer the knight over to b6. Simultaneously putting pressure on d4. It's like, it's a maneuver I'm familiar with in the Smyslov variation of the Grunfeld. Okay, this is pretty clear, capture towards the center and open up the a file. Because the goal is to have your Fianchetto bishop doing something. So let's say e3. I could even consider e5. Try to break that open. Knight c6 is another option. The knight c6 I have to play e5 regardless, so I don't see why I wouldn't do that right away. Also, I might want to play c6 in some case to stifle this bishop, I don't know. c5 though is another move. Well, that's tempting too. That also puts pressure on the center. And then knight c6 looks even better. One thing I like about the e5 move is if I force a trade, I get a 3-on-2 majority on the queen side. I might be able to make use of that with the open a file. c5 has some upside as well. e5. e5 or c5, those are the moves right now. For some reason I'm attracted to e5 more than c5, even though c5 is a standard Grunfeld move. c5, knight c3, c5, d5. Which move? C5, D5. E5, what do they go D5? D5 is a move regardless. E5 and D5 is also a little annoying. E5, D5, F5? Now I'm starting to think C5 is the move. Because after E5, D5, my bishop in G7 is still locked. After C5, D5, the bishop on G7 is pretty strong. Double-edged, but it's strong. I'm gonna go for C5. It looks more double-edged. Because, for example, if D5, then I have B5, and I can at least get some counterplay on the queen side with some pawns. So is it gonna be B5, which is what I was just thinking about, or? Feels like I have a little bit of presence here. I do like the idea of this bishop being involved, whereas after E5, D5, I needed to work a bit harder. White wants to play E4 to support the center and develop the bishop. Looks good in most cases. I like your position, Eric, because I like you more than them. That's, you know, that unconditional support. That's very nice, Dr. Lord Mayonnaise. Very sound reasoning. So the B5 pawn is being hit. And what happens if I go B4? I want to play this move. I want to strengthen that diagonal. But now the knight on E4 is blocking. That knight on E4 is, I'm just going to go B6 and not take too much time because the knight here blocks the pawn from moving. Whereas this is a nice little formation. Maybe I can even get the bishop here. Give me a chance, maybe knight D7, knight E5, bishop A6, and fight for both dark and light squares. You're a funny guy, Nick. Hey, Cobby, thanks for the 2 months. I think I'm ahead in development here because white doesn't have ways to gain more space with the knight on E4. So the idea is to bring the rook to D1 and support the pawn with the rook. This is a very tempting move, and the question is, do I do this first or knight D7? I like knight D7. Why? Because maybe my bishop goes here. It's keeping some more options open. Knight D7, knight E5 looks annoying. Knight D7, I just want to complete development here. If I was playing you guys with an average rating of 3 digits, I would probably play bishop D7, knowing you would play rook D1 and run into bishop A4. I don't think my opponent will fall for that. Another benefit of this move is you can put your bishop here and develop without hanging B2, but it's not that important. Bishop F5 is starting to look good in some lines. I don't want to play anything like this and open this up voluntarily. Okay, I'm going to start with knight D7. If bishop D2, I can probably go bishop A6 and knight E5 and quickly hop in. I don't think that's what I was worried about. Bishop a6. So now my queen defends the rook. The rook here, probably just knight e5. From what I can see, white's really falling behind in development. Knight e5. I just don't see any discovered attack on the queen or on the rook that are profitable. I don't see a good way. You can give up 2 pieces for the rook, but that's not a good trade. So something like knight e5, if f4, I could even go knight d3. After rook takes d3, I can throw in the in-between move c4. Not in this specific position, but it's an idea in other ones. So just an example, knight d3, rook d3, c4. There's probably queen takes pawn. It doesn't quite work out, but I'm getting there. I'm getting to these squares sooner or later. Because if you take first, then I am threatening c4, this pawn's defended, and I can hop in. Yeah, so here, I even have this in between move. The question is, should I go here or here first? But this looks like a failed mission for white. This is too tempting. I did not calculate. It's just defended and it looks good. Queen here, I have rook takes a2, rook takes a2, b3. Lots of sharp tactics. That happens in the Grunfeld when things open up. For both sides, usually. This is what I meant. By getting my pawns here, I'm restricting this knight and this bishop. And strengthening this. So I'm liking the way things are looking. There's only one move for my opponent, right? Queen c2 is the only move. And then rook takes a2, rook a2, b3 looks strong. Queen c2 and rook takes a2, the b3 idea is looking good. This was the goal, get both bishops good. What's white thinking about, by the way? Certain move I'm missing? I generally think if you really only have one move, you should just play that and think on your opponent's time. You can just drain your clock getting upset at yourself, but if you have one move, just play it, and just simply only one move is just only one move. Gotta just make the move. But it's the b3 move that I think sets up this combination. Because if you do it regularly, it doesn't work because b3 traps the bishop. Which is how Bobby Fischer lost the game, the World Championship match, versus Bobby Fischer. Bobby Fischer lost against Boris Spassky. Pretty famous example. I could go bishop d3, but let's calculate. Rook a2. Can't play b3 because it's pinned. Anything like this doesn't change the variation. b3. It's looking good. It's looking good. I'm gonna trust my instincts. Rook takes a2. b3. You don't have time to play any sort of aggressive in-between move where it's like rook a7 to take that because I take everything. Okay, now we go there. So I'm a pawn up, and it's a very dangerous pawn. So there is f4, but I looked at knight d3, queen c4, knight b2, followed by knight takes d1, and it looked like I was getting a lot of material back. And the other funny move after, it's a pattern you should generally be familiar with, is f4, bishop d3, f takes e5, bishop b1. And I'm producing a queen there. Because otherwise f4 makes a bit of sense to kick the knight off the bishop on c4, but I don't see it working in time. So now I'm just gonna go bishop b3 with tempo, I believe. Secure the pawn, attack the rook. Rook d2 makes sense. I mean, you can't really go rook e1 because of knight d3. Rook f1, you're just kind of putting your pieces back. And I mean, white's already down a pawn, so you have to find a way to cover or survive and win a pawn back, and I don't see where that is. One of the issues I really do think is this knight is blocking the bishop, and this pawn on d6 is not as dangerous as it seems. I'm able to play around. I didn't go bishop d3 in this position, even though I was discussing the idea, because here it's a little more risky. Bishop d3, they can take, and the bishop's hanging. And then I can go bishop e1, and they can take here, and they have queen c3. It's a little more... There's a lot more to calculate there. It's not as clean. I know I'm just taking here because I didn't see the threat. But I don't blunder, this should be a winning position, so I'm going to take a bit more time. It's very possible I don't need to even consider that. Like something like this, like f5 myself, might be stronger. So where does the knight go after f5? Out of curiosity. f5, knight g5, I can take here. Right? 5, f4, pawn takes, pawn takes. Pawn takes. That looks winning. Trades are usually good. Queen a8, there's some check on f6 I don't want to deal with. I'm gonna try f5. I'm not seeing the issue yet. The reason I want to kick this knight out is kind of free up the situation here. I could have just grabbed on d6, but this way, I guess it's more forcing. Also riskier. My king is more open. I'm definitely counting on this bishop holding, otherwise it would be very weakening to do this. So now I can just take. And they go knight d6, rook d8, and slowly running out of squares. So for example, knight d6, what am I missing? Rook d8. I'm playing that instantly because, well, trading is not. You can't trade. This is game over. You just take and go knight d3. And bishop takes, and I'm making a queen. That's not possible. Probably gonna resign. Because the queen can't recapture. I just have knight d3 and all my pieces are just gonna work the a1 square. Knight d3 is with tempo. There's no checks. No way to attack the bishop. So knight d3, queen f1. Bishop takes here, queen takes, check. Looks good. Looks good. Knight d3, there's no checks. Nope. Knight d3, queen only has one square on the board. Simple, right? And then when I take on b2, you can't stop the pawn from queening. So, just all the pieces are coordinated and supporting this push. I mean, it's very unpleasant to have a pawn on a2 because the queen is stuck. The opponent's still playing on, which is kind of cute. I just see taking on b2 with the bishop, supporting the pawn. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I can just queen first. Take. No queen. What? You just queen first. That's looking good. Now white's thinking, but it's a little too late, I think. A little too late. GG.
Get it.